know if there's anything at the end of the session you want me to cut out. As you know, I haven't made this public. You know, I just don't make it. I've only circulated it around Outer Limits members, because I think that's, you know, that's fine. Rather than everyone kind of searching for it and it coming up on a YouTube channel, I'll just keep it circulated within our network. Is that right? And it is on, the recording goes on speaker. It goes on who is speaking. So so it doesn't really show the gallery for those who don't know how it records. So brilliantly, our four artists, so Kristen, Sally, and Mia. So we're really focused, it's going to be very, very focused on them tonight. We're going to go through their applications as much as we can. And you can, the rest of the team, you can ask questions as you go along. I will, as those who saw the video or saw me last week, I was a little bit, I was a bit confused by the technology, even though I'm really good with technology. It's this kind of small screen with lots of different documents. Like, you should see me on a board meeting and you have like 10 different papers open and watching a Zoom on one little laptop. It's just impossible. Teachers, I don't know how you do it. So I do, it might take me a while around the screen share, but you can, and so for that reason, that's why I'm talking about it, is when I'm screen sharing on an application, and there are bits, and Christian asked me, because obviously there's some, and if you remember, Rebecca's was redacted, there was stuff redacted on her application form. If there are bits that you want me to go, whoa, don't show that bit, I'll unshare the screen and go on, because obviously you've got names of other people in there. Yeah. So that's absolutely fine if you want me to go, don't show me, I'm showing my personal details. But, and it is, I suppose, that in that, let's, you know, what it is shared here, obviously, you know, it doesn't really go out beyond the network. But what I'd love is when I am going through somebody's application, if one of the other team can just keep an eye on the chat, and then so we'll nominate somebody each time, and then if you've got a question, go in the chat, because I can't see the gallery where people were putting their hands up or anything. So do you want to just, like 5 minutes, just say what the process has been like doing it, because everyone is a bit traumatized by it. Christine, you were saying it was hard when you first came in.
Yeah, I phoned Anne up in the week. I was like, this is ridiculous. I can't, I just felt so overwhelmed. And I think what I was doing was I'd end up getting like fixated on one question, and then I'd have spent like 3 hours just redoing this one particular question. And I found it really hard I would just get distracted with other questions rather than work through it and go, right, I'm just going to focus on this bit. It was quite overwhelming, that the amount of sections. And when I felt like I was repeating myself. So yeah, I found it was really good to do, but I definitely found it a struggle. And I think it was like the really positives. Well, it did really make me think about my project more. And so I felt really, actually, after I'd submitted it, feel way more focused and way more like, oh, I know sort of some of the stuff that I need to go and work on and do this week. So it was great for that, but I was pulling my hair out a little bit.
Mia, because you changed, really interestingly, you've completely changed your project, which I think is really part of which I think is exciting, because that's sort of what happens. Well, you know, when you have to really think about what you want to do, you suddenly went, I want to do something else. You're right there, Mia, I might have lost you.
Hello.
I've lost you.
Oh shit, hello.
Oh shit, hello. Are you right?
Yeah.
You frozen, but we might hear your audio. And it's a very beautiful picture of you that is frozen on my computer. I don't know if everyone is. You know
what? I was going to say the same thing.
Like that.
If my internet freezes, I look like an absolute dig.
And it's frozen again.
Like,
and look at that.
Got me going like,
look at me. It's frozen on you again, Mia. And you just
beautiful. Oh God.
Okay.
Do you want to knock off your video and see if the audio, if it is easier with just the audio coming through? I'm going to come on to you, Anne. Anne, how was it for you?
For me, I mean, you'll see when we go through it. For me, the hardest is the budgeting, is numbers. It's basically a basic fear of just, it's a combination of fear and of course it's not the exciting bit, so it means that I by default go into like, I don't know, do you know what I mean? So and I find that I find numbers much more overwhelming than I do words. So I felt like I have an idea of my project, but what I don't necessarily, I have an idea of my project in terms of the root of it, but what I don't know are the numbers. I also am not quite sure, like, what I was like, oh, is this bit where I put the people? Is this bit where I put? Is this where I put that I'm going to be printing scripts? So I was like, what section? So yeah, for me, that is without a doubt the biggest thing. And also the idea that, yes, it's certainly, you know, I agree, it does make you think about your project more. And also for me, like, what else I can offer with it. So
yeah,
where I've said things like, oh, Q&As and like post show, like if I'm like, oh, and I'd love to have like community discussions via Zoom, I'm like, and I've suggested ways that I could get people involved, but actually I'm like, practically, is that the best way? Is that what I'll do? So, and actually, even if I put that down, does it mean that just because I put it down, does it mean that I have to do it? Do you know what I mean? Like, actually, if I think of a better way of doing it, hopefully, you know, if you're successful, do I still have to stick to the plan that I gave them? Do you know what I mean? So it brought up also several questions along the way as well. But
I think just to answer that, just in case we forget to do that, I think that, you know, your project can change. I think in the evaluation you say why. So if you go, I actually just came up with a better idea.
Okay.
You just in the evaluation when I said I was going to do this, and then I thought actually to achieve the thing, to have the greater impact for the project to really impact people more deeply, I suddenly decided that this would happen. You know, we should do it like this. Yeah, so you can definitely change it as you go through, as long as you achieve, you know, because if you would sort of achieve roughly what you said you were going to go, or if you come out with having achieved more, then that's winner chicken dinner in the world.
Yeah, totally.
So that's absolutely fine. Mia, you're back.
Oh
no.
Am I back?
You're back and you look beautiful again. How is that possible? You're freezing. Oh no.
I love that. Yeah, try taking the internet off your phone. Do you know what I mean? Put your phone. Oh, unless you're on your phone. Take it.
You're on your phone or on your computer?
Laptop. I never usually have problems. I'm so sorry.
Oh, a friend of mine had some problems today, and he went and just turned the router on and off, and then it came back on, and it was better. So maybe that as well.
Do you want to try?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Do you want to try turning your router on and off? Jules is nodding. She's going.
Okay.
Yeah,
isn't that the classic techie response? Turn it off and turn it on again.
But it does work.
Perfect.
It does
work
all the time.
It does.
All right. And Sally, how are you?
Yeah, well, like everybody else, I thought it's very thought-provoking. I really I started out feeling really positive. I thought the whole session was fantastic, and then I went to the first bit and I rewrote it, and then I stupidly asked members of the family who are teachers and PhD graduates to have a look at it, and then it was rewritten in a way that I thought, oh God, what does that mean? So then I scrubbed that, and then there were a few family rows, and then I was like, right, no, fuck off, I don't want anybody to help me at all. And then there was a drama, and then I thought, and then I realized actually I think this whole form has made me realize that ultimately I'm a terribly lazy person, and I really just wanted to give it to somebody else and say, could you just do that for me? And then, because I can put the show on. I know I can do that, but I just can't do the form. So then I filled out the form, but then I stayed up and did a kind of all-nighter, which is why when I messaged you, I said I hadn't checked this. And actually, I looked back at it and I thought, God, I really haven't checked it. So I'm appalled, and I kind of also got that feeling you get at school where I shone at certain things, but certainly not at, that kind of, there was always somebody who was much better at filling out the form and doing the right thing. And I just felt like I was back at school, and I just thought, this is shit, basically. And I realized that's why I have Tourette's, because I just it was a non-stop swearing all the time, because it was very painful. But I felt like I'd done it, and I was quite pleased with myself when I gave it to you.
Great. Well, I mean, yeah, absolutely. Huge congrats on doing it. And
For something terrible.
no, not at all. Not, and also, I will, obviously, I'm going to really dig into it to help. So don't, any kind of questions or anything that I say, this is a really safe space. There's no kind of judgment. Everything that I'm going to say to you is about trying to enable you to give you some prompts really to move stuff forward, because I think all the projects are really, really brilliant. So we just want to, help you on this journey. It's awful doing these applications. They're not really designed for artists. Mia, are you there? Hi, Mia.
Can you hear me? Hi. Hello.
No, not great.
It's not great. Crap.
Don't worry. Like, if it really is problematic, this is recorded, and also we can do a session. I'll do a one-to-one session on your application.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you not completely?
Go on. I'm so desperate to solve this.
What about putting her back in the waiting room and bringing her back in?
All right, I'll try that.
Because sometimes that works.
I'm going to put you in the waiting room and then bring you back in. Okay? Put in the waiting room. It's like on the naughty step.
Yeah. He was on that last week, I think.
Yeah, I swear by putting people back in the waiting room and bringing them back in.
Oh, really? To help
it? Yeah, usually it often helps.
Oh, that's a good piece of information. Here we go. We shall just freeze. Yeah, I'm quite frozen, aren't we? Hi, Mia, are you there? Oh.
Yeah.
No, it's still the same.
Still the same.
Unless, Mia, you just try going just on your phone. And just
try on your phone. Try on your phone.
And don't use your Wi-Fi.
Okay, I'm going to make a start. And so I just want to thank all of you for submitting. And obviously, this is quite, we're doing it together. And that might feel a bit weird. So I really, really appreciate it, because it will benefit everyone, I think, going through these applications together. So I was gonna share my screen. So whilst I'm sharing my screen, so Christian, I'm gonna have a quick whiz through yours.
I feel really nervous.
Oh, don't be nervous. Honestly, this is nothing like that. This is really.
No, I know. I think yeah.
And everyone's got brilliant stuff in them. So I think, and it's not like who's done the best application or anything. It's like, how do we help you get the best out of this situation. So share screen. Share screen. So I had to move it. For some reason, my Microsoft Word has gone a bit weird. I don't know why. But can everybody see this? Oh, and Anne, will you keep an eye on the chat? That'd be great.
Yeah, will do.
So, first question. Just let me know, Kristen, if I'm about to whiz through something that you don't want me to see.
Have you gone past the first question? No.
No, I haven't. That's all the information at the beginning, isn't it? Oh, yes, I have. Yeah, it's really short. It's really brilliant. So, Big Wally, amazing name, is semi-autobiographical. Biographical, yeah, don't worry, it's fine. I mean, also I'm going to read it out because actually I think it's really useful to hear it read by someone else out loud. It's a semi-autobiographical comedy show about, I'm not going to do spell checking or anything, so don't worry. A comedy show about brain, because I'm fucking awful. About brain injury, exploring themes of class and shame. So great, we're totally on a lovely complexity of what the piece is. This piece will challenge how we react to invisible disability in society. Boom, that's really like exciting about what this piece will do, you know, why we're doing it. R&D funding will allow us time to work with Headway. Amazing. So we know it's R&D. We know it's in partnership with Headway to engage neurological experts and victims. So we've got, that's interesting because we know that we've got experts and then we've got people who are going to participate in the making of the project. In addition, we will undertake a 2-week R&D process with a director, dramaturg where we further develop the play to completion. On completion, we will deliver an audience-tested show, marketing strategy trailer, tour pack, and tailored workshop models. Yeah, it's just great. It's really short. What I know from that, it's R&D. It's for R&D.
And it was organisational development, but I couldn't get that in.
Yeah, but there may be bits to take out. Because is this your 600? Have you done 600?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can say, yeah, Big Wally is, you can say it's semi-autobiographical later.
Okay.
It's a comedy show about brain injury. Actually, that's like boom. Exploring themes of class and shame. Challenging, so this piece will, challenging how I can, yeah, it's all right. Are you writing this down? You don't want me to do it. Class and shame, challenging how we react to invisible disability in society. Take R&D out, just put funding, so you've got 3 characters back, will allow us time to work with headway.org to engage neurological experts and victims. So yeah, you don't need in addition we will undertake, because that is the thing, isn't it? You know, a 2-week R&D process with a director / dramaturg will further develop the play to completion. There will be, so you don't need to, on completion, we'll deliver, there will be an audience tested show, marketing. We will make an audience tested show, marketing strategy, trailer, tour pack, and tailored workshops models. So you've got a few things back there.
Okay.
Yeah, do you see what I'm doing with the language? I'm just stripping it back. You just need to be like, if you look at that
There's full
application.
scale and there as well. You could cut that out
Oh
at the
yeah.
end. Tour pack and.
Yeah, exactly. So you just, and it's fine if it sounds really text messagey. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's absolutely fine. Just
You know what?
go on.
So what I struggled with is because like 2 weeks of my R&D is about researching and talking to experts and victims and their family, and then there's another 2 weeks that's in the rehearsal room, and I was trying to show the difference between them, and I was struggling in what language to use to differentiate the two.
Oh, I see. So, and in fact, that's a bit you need to put. Well, also, you remember you can unpack later, can't you? So
Yeah.
Big Wally is this part. You could say this project is a 4-week R&D. It's 4 weeks of R&D on a semi-autobiographical comedy show about brain injury, exploring themes, and you can take that full stop out, exploring themes of class and shame, full stop.
That makes sense.
Class and shame, comma, challenging how we react to invisible disability in society. The process will allow us 2 weeks of rehearsal and 2 weeks of research and 2 weeks of rehearsal.
Thank you. Yeah.
2 weeks of research with headway.org and experts and 2 weeks with 2 weeks of research with experts and victims with headway.org, and 2 weeks of rehearsal with director Dramaturg.
Okay.
Where
this is recording because I can't get all this.
Yeah, I am recording. Where we develop the play to completion. But do you see what I mean? I'm just rejigging it around and stripping everything out.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I am recording this.
Great.
Great, and then that will say what you want to do. Yeah, that's fine. That's okay. Let's go on to this because I'm going to ask you a bit more about that. 1st July, This is for. If the people who, I wonder if it is creative. It's a project about people creative. Yeah, I wouldn't say it is creative people.
Okay.
I think it's just a creative and cultural country. It might be cultural.
I mean, they all seem. I couldn't work out what was what.
This is about art. This is about the people making the work themselves, not with artists. They're just doing it themselves. Creative people. You could have, and it's not creative. It's a creative and cultural country. Because you're working with the participants is collaborative. That's what you're doing.
I see.
Okay, and then the next one is, oh yeah, tell us about your organisation's relevant working experience. I put some key stuff down there. Yeah, start with, this is all good, it's all brilliant, you've done loads of stuff.
Not theatre-wise though, I feel like I'm...
Yeah, put the theatre stuff at the bit. What have you done? You'll be surprised. We did this last time, didn't we? What have you done theatre-wise?
So, I mean, I've done loads as an actress, like a lot of like fringe theatre, and then I've produced a couple of bits, but I've not. And so the last show I produced at the Old Red Lion made a profit, it sold out.
Oh my God, come on. That's really brilliant. So why didn't you say, as a performer, my credits I have worked at, and just list the venues.
Okay.
I have produced, because and then the Red Lion, Red Lion is a really good rep, that's a really, and I have produced a show. Was it a new, because this is basically.
It's stuff that I devised, so I devised.
Oh, yeah, brilliant. So all of this is what it's going to know is, do you have the expertise and quality to do the project that you want to do?
Okay. Yeah.
So, which is, these are my things. These are the really, and particularly if it's devised work, these are the brilliant venues I've worked at. I produced this show, and put that at the beginning.
Okay.
I produced this show and it sold out.
Yeah.
And it was a piece of new writing. And then you go into, I have done all of this film work.
Okay,
But I would nip some of this out here.
cool.
That you've secured funding as a creative producer is really great. But beef up the theatre, then put the film skills, and then leave on the producing skill. Well, they might come together really, but the theatre should come first. And that the red line stuff is really great. I wouldn't worry. You have produced a show at a leading fringe theatre in London, and it was devised work, and it made a profit. That is, and you And did you lead on it as a?
Well, it was 3 of us, so I was one of the 3 leads in.
Yeah, great.
3 of us, so yeah, I managed it. I produced it. There was 2 of us that produced it, and then there was a director, writer, and it was all written from our improvisations.
Yeah, great, brilliant. So that you'd say that because they just want to know that when you do that R&D 2 weeks, you're gonna have stuff.
Yeah.
And is going, we did it, and there were just 3 of us, and it sold out.
Yeah.
And so we go, oh great, so she knows how to produce something, because you are producing this, aren't you?
Yeah.
And that you know how to generate material for a show, and also it was tried and tested and sold out. So put that at the beginning.
Cool.
And the film stuff is really great, obviously, because working in the film industry demands a real level of producing skill, which is pretty extraordinary. And there's a level and a creativity within that as well. So, so that's really good. Maybe you probably don't need that quote here. You can put it in that where you send a piece, send external information.
Oh, okay, cool.
Put it in there.
Okay, great.
Because it's not directly linked to you leading on a project.
I think because Rebecca's did, I was trying to find something to put in there, but it did feel like it didn't really join up with anything.
Yeah, put it in there later on though.
Cool.
But that's a really, also that you're really working within the work camp, which is really good. Tell us more about the project and what you want to achieve. I don't know why this document does this when I move it up, but it does. In 2012, a University of Exeter report described traumatic brain injury as a silent epidemic head injury and is the commonest cause of death and disability in people aged. I might just mute you, Jules. Oh, brilliant, you've done it yourself, great. Attended emergency departments in England where with a recent head injury, there's a growing body of research on the overrepresentation of people with brain injuries in prison population. That's a really extraordinary fact right at the beginning. That's really great. That really, really grabs us. Yeah, and this is, and I love it. That's really personal here. It really is imaginative. It's about the creativity. Imagine waking up in Essex in 1980s with no prior knowledge of the county or decade you find yourself in. In 1987, this happened to my father, and 20 years later, the same thing that happened to my brother. My father woke up with a completely new personality, no short-term memory, and the loss of what was amazing, wasn't an amazing singing voice. Through comedy and music, just completely destroyed us emotionally. And they go, through comedy and music. It's kind of amazing, it's brilliant. This show will explore stories of what it is like to feel. I put something about accessibility in there.
Cool, yeah.
This show will, something through the accessible forms of comedy and music, or incorporating accessible forms of comedy and music. The show will explore stories of what it is like to feel trapped in your own brain and how it affects the family members left behind. I will seek to challenge the audience's perception. I think I will seek to challenge the audience perception and the negative term brain damage, because that's in what do you want. That's in the public engagement section. What do you want? How do you want audiences what do you want them to experience? Anything because you have so little space, anything you can put elsewhere. You've totally done that. We sort of understand that already there as well. I think that's what you want to do. with the help of Partners Headway, Sam Are You, I don't know, same you, we will develop and test. I love how I made that foreign. Sam Are You. We'll develop and test a workshop that will combine. Right, okay. With the help of Partners that are music living in Havering, this will inspire people to express their creativity irrespective of gender, class, ability. The workshop's main aim will be to allow creativity to flourish with no filter, and will eventually run alongside the national tour. Okay, so what is missing? All of this is really amazing. How much of your word count have you used? Do you know?
I think I was around the number. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it's hard because what is missing is you don't actually say what the project is.
Okay. What, in terms of it being a 1 hour play that?
Yeah, and have you already written any of it?
There's a draft of it, and I've done R&D workshops already with the director, but I'm moving on to a different director now. So there's like, I have the content and ideas of form and setting, but I want to devise it and write it.
Yeah, you need to put that in. So you need to really, in this section is the real, you know exactly what you're going to do, which is 4 weeks of R&D on an existing tried and tested, you know, a draft, because they really like investing in things that have already sort of have a proven track record.
Mm-hmm.
So that needs to come in here. But really what this is, tell us more about the project. I mean, this is all great. But you need to talk about what the actual things you are going to be doing. So in the first 2 week in our 4 week of R&D, in the first 2 weeks, we will do, we will talk to experts, these experts, and we've talked, and what you're going to do with them for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. And then what you're going to do in the art, what you're going to do in the rehearsal weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to go, we've got an existing draft, and we'll work with the experts in this, with this amazing organization, and we will use their contacts to find out the right participants for it. We will invite them into the room or onto Zoom.
Yeah.
There will be conversations, there will be this and this. We will grab all of this information, and it will inform the 2 week rehearsal period. In that 2 week rehearsal period, we will, and also, are you going to when you do the research, are you going to rewrite it, or are you going to take that straight into a room?
When we do the research, now it will be fed into the devising process.
Okay, great. So you're going to take that existing draft, all this new research, a new a really funky creative team. Who's going to be your creative team in there? Obviously,
the director I'm talking to at the moment, that's great, and she's got massive experience, but I haven't sort of locked her down yet. So I was a bit worried about putting in what she's done and her experience.
Yeah, but at the moment you don't say how many actors or a director.
Okay.
How many actors? Because they want to know who they're investing as well beyond.
Yeah, it wasn't one person. It was a one.
Oh, great, brilliant. Well, that you haven't said that.
Oh, I thought I had. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and just really spell it out. So it's a director. Is it you?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know it was you.
Did you know? No. I thought I said it in the beginning.
No.
Okay.
You have. No, it's one more. It's just you, one performer, myself, a director.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you see what I mean? It's all the basics. The basics aren't quite there, and you've got all this amazing stuff there, which you'll have to strip back.
Yeah.
But then also, I think loads of this will go into what do you want an audience to experience?
Okay. Yeah.
How do you want them to engage? How will this project develop? I'm going to do this one as well. As a working class,
I really struggled with, and I haven't.
Don't worry, it's okay. As a working class woman from Havering,
sorry, just before you move on to that, just before we move on to that next question, early on, sorry, Chrissy basically mentions about getting a director and, you know, saying that she's found a director, and Jules has got a question. She's put about when appropriate. I'd love to know how you find a director. So I just thought if you want to just throw out some ideas now, just before we go on to the next one.
Yeah, how do you find it? Wow, that's an interesting one. Kristen, how have you found a director?
So it's someone that I've worked with before. So the people that I'm talking to, it's a mixture of people that I've worked with before, or people that I know, or there's also people that I've seen their work that I like and that I just ask for a virtual coffee and explains about the project. So I think directors that I like have been really responsive at the moment, because I think that people are working less. So I've had quite a lot of conversations, and a couple of directors that have been in and done sort of just weekend R&D with me.
Okay, thank you for that. That's great.
But I mean, I'm sure there's better ways, but that's how I did it.
Yeah, so kind of using your personal networks, but also you can, if you don't have those kind of personal networks, then you can also put stuff on the Outer Limits Facebook page.
Ah, okay, great. It's just that I've always been the director myself, you see, and I don't want to do that this time. I want someone else to step in and have a look.
Well, that's brilliant. And there's a very, you know, and that's really great about your development as well, in this section that we're talking about, you know, changing that role. So you're not the person who's doing it. But certainly the Outer Limits Network are very good at suggesting people as well.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. I'll use that. Thank you very much.
That's right. That's great. So, as a working class woman from Havering in Essex, I was never given access to the arts growing up. Havering boroughs, the Buffaloes. I think that probably will go. It's taken me a long while to be able to carve a career in the creative sector after often being overlooked because of my lack of education and my Essex accent, always being encouraged to lose my accent in favour of a more London-centric RP accent. I found there to be a barrier to entry in the theatre world. This funding would allow me time to forge new relationships with theatre venues and have an audience-ready play to tour at venues with low arts engagement.
I meant areas rather than venues.
That's right.
I think I meant areas.
That's okay. In addition to this, I will develop acting and writing workshops to inspire. That's an interesting. In addition, is that part of your project?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I do. I run workshops. Like, I've done that a lot. So I want that to go alongside it.
That should be in your project description up here.
Oh, okay.
Not in the development of your work. That's a really brilliant, because also they like that just expands the project.
Yeah.
So it's going to reach more people. So that should definitely be in as part of the project itself. At the end of the project, I would have written my first theatre piece. That's really great, and made the transition from creatively producing film to theatre. More to be added. I think just be really specific about the skills, the skill set as well that you will develop. I mean, I think the class stuff is really important. I think it's about collaboration. You would have developed in how to collaborate. You will have developed in, creating your very first full-length piece of theatre solo.
So
I will have written as well, because you're devising, aren't you?
Yeah.
So I would put devised, making my first solo
show, yeah, because I've done it before.
Because you've done it before, yeah, in your own right as a creative. And work with new people.
Yeah.
And so, and in terms of director or dramaturg, that will upskill you as well.
Yeah.
So that should go in there. The one thing that isn't, sorry, I've gone back to this, is you said you're going to do, are you going to do a sharing?
Yeah, so I say that later on. I'm going to do 2 scratch nights and 2 read-throughs.
Yeah, that needs to be in the project.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Anything.
So I'm going to do it and then do 2 read-throughs, one for people with disability and then one for industry professionals. And then I'm going to do 2 scratch nights.
Yeah, that has to be in the project, not later.
Okay.
Any activity, anything that you are doing
See,
has to be in the project.
I feel like I could rewrite that then. Yeah, because
Yeah. And then
sorry, just a question from Hannah. So in the last answer, she says, so basically Hannah's question is, unless Hannah, tell me if you want to phrase it another way, but it's finding your arts engagement, that Havering was the fourth lowest. Did you find that? So was that on the arts website by downloading the Excel sheets and working it out, or was there a list?
I mean, I got it because Doug said last time, and then I did information where I got it from.
After last time, I downloaded like every Excel spreadsheet, and I was like trying to work it out, and I was like, "Where's Braintree?"
Braintree, where's Braintree? You could, where will it be? I mean, there are statistics. I'll dig these out and because I know where they do exist. You have to dig them out. But there is there's an Arts Council list of all the districts in the UK and their level of arts engagement. Havering, obviously, that's a very London unique thing. So there will be a list of boroughs and their arts engagement. And then the Arts Council have a list of engagement, and then they put them in like the least 33%, the 66, or the most engaged. But they are, I think if you go arts engagement, UK, Arts Council, England, it might come up. If I've got time, I might see if I can find it before the end. But that's a really good bit. If not, I'll try and find that. Yeah, okay.
Can we whiz past this bit?
Yeah. How do I do that? I'm gonna have to stop sharing. Stop sharing. Oh no, then you've all appeared. Yeah, so the creative. So I'm just going to whiz through it there actually, because just in case. So you've got a creative producer who will work with you on what you have. You do all these people that you put in here. Make sure you mention them in the project.
Oh, really? Okay. I thought it was to not, and then you try and mention them somewhere else.
You say what they're going to do in length in that, but you say, I will work with.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, you haven't mentioned your workshops, and you've got the consultancy. That's absolutely same. You haven't mentioned
under creative stuff. So I've got like marketing consultant there, but that's someone that's offering to mentor, give me a few sessions. And
it's kind of like specialists. I know it says museum special. I think it does come under there. The difference between, this is one thing that came up, is about partners and creative. So I think Same You is a partner actually. Yeah,
I realised that. I got this totally wrong. I couldn't work out what the difference between partner and creatives.
Yeah, partners are organisations. They're the people they're the organisation that's helping you realise the project. So, like if I was giving in kind, or if they were giving consultancy support, or you would put them as, if they're an organisation, you should put them as a partner.
Okay.
But if they're an individual, then you should put them as a specialist, or as a creative.
Cool.
There'll be some other, I'll show you, there's some other partners, but Same You, any organisation or which should come as a partner.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm going to whiz through public engagement for the moment. How are we engaged with the project? I'm just going to bring up a couple of things on it whilst I'm whizzing through, but we won't go through it in detail. Oh, Pippa's come in. Share screen. Who will engage with your project? Public engagement. so you're doing R&D, aren't you? So, and you've got, remember, engagement is about audience or participants. It's only those two things.
Okay.
And so lots of you are doing R&D, which is tricky because then you don't really have many.
Right.
Yeah, but you've got people who are actively participating in the creativity of the project. And they will, and I mean, that's an interesting thing about talking about how they benefit from the engagement in the project.
Mm-hmm.
Who will engage? We will also engage. So you've got, it's to engage with survivors of brain trauma, most of whom have invisible disability, in the creative process of making the work. Yeah, we are paying particular attention to this to make sure we engage a widespread of audience. So at the moment you've got 3 scratch shows. You've got scratch, you've got 3 sort of tryout performances, haven't you?
4. Well, I've got 2
4.
read-throughs, which will get different audiences. So then I will engage the people that I've met through Headway at one of these read-throughs so they can hear the play. And so I'll hold an event for them. And the same with the scratch. So I'll do 2 scratch nights and 2.
So talk about the people who are participating in the project rather than audience, which are the people that you're doing the R&D with.
Right.
Yeah, so that's one section. So you do participants.
Yeah.
Who they are, and then you would talk about your audience. So the audience for the, because I don't, at the moment, I haven't read anything about your performances. Mm-hmm. So that's why it needs to be really clear, because I'll get to this point and go, I don't know if she's doing any performances. So for the scratch readings, there will be one performance for people targeted specifically at survivors of brain trauma.
Yeah.
And their families.
Yeah.
Who are potentially not everyday theatre goers, because you can't know that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Who are potentially not everyday theatre goers.
Cool. That's yeah.
And then you have also those scratch, because I'm flipping, it's those scratch performances and readings, where are they going to happen?
One in Havering and one in London.
Whereabouts?
So the one in London I have a space for, but I don't have a space in Havering yet. So that's what I've put. So I have to find a space here before I finish it.
And what kind of space do you need? So would the other stage at the Queen's work?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so you should be doing it there then.
I didn't want to assume that. Okay, yeah.
So
that would be amazing. Yeah.
You need to name those spaces that you're working at as well.
And do you call it the other space, or do you call it?
We call it the other stage. Yeah, we call it the other stage, which is it's in our foyer. But you should name, if you're doing scratch performances, you should name where you're doing them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then the other, so you've got that specific one, and then the others are for...
There'll be one in London, which I'll find the theatre, but I mean, there's loads of theatres in London, like fringe theatres that I can use. I think that's not going to be hard, so I'll find that and lock that down this week.
Yeah, then, great, brilliant.
Yeah.
Great, and then who's going to come to those?
So I think industry professionals will come to one in London, the first read-through I do. So
the read-through is targeted at industry professionals, great.
Yeah, to feedback on the script, and then there'll be an industry read through with like specialists and people that have experienced brain trauma to make sure that it's accessible and to understand that I've not said anything that's not, to basically check the language and make sure that what I'm saying is truthful and it's their experience as well. And then the scratch performance in London will be, I guess, sort of a lot of kind of theatre goers, people I know. It will be like a London, I would imagine sort of more of a London centric kind of liberal theatre going audience that will engage in the London one. But also I've got the casting agency that I work for, so they're basically agreeing to put anything out on social media, and they've got like, it's up to 100,000 they're following, so they have, based on that agency, there's a lot of audience that will come from there, so it will access people that aren't.
Great. So you've got a kind of wider general audience, people interested in contemporary work. But I wonder if the partners that you're saying, you and then the other organisation that you're working with, if they can't reach
They
out
will
as
get
well.
out as well. They've said they'll.
Great, brilliant. So then you're
help with
targeting. That's brilliant. So you're targeting people who will recognise their experience on this stage, and then also a much
Exactly.
wider audience who will be interested in that. So you want to put that's who you're doing.
Great, that's so much clearer. Yeah, thank you.
And also you say young offenders.
I mean, that's what I really want to do, because I've done some work with that in the past, but I haven't fully. I mean, I used to work for a company that dealt with young offenders and also young people that have been expelled from school and really disenfranchised youth.
Well, great.
I can 100% contact them and access those people, but in terms of I need to just.
So yeah, do that. It's amazing. Well, that all sounds really great. So you just be really clear about who's coming to those 4 events. And the public one is targeted at a general audience. It's targeted at people who will recognise their experience on stage, and you've got those connections to reach those, because that's what the next section will be about, how you're going to reach them, and also young offenders. And then you back up how you achieve that.
Yeah.
In the next section. Is that all right? Does that make sense?
Honestly, that's so much clearer. I feel like I was just sort of throwing loads of stuff at the wall and seeing.
Yeah, that's fine. That's good. That's good. And then this is really great. And in the long term, for its tour, it will do this. So even if you're doing an R&D process, you go the long term outcome is for it to reach these audiences across the UK as it tours. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. That's so helpful.
Brilliant. So I'm just going to bank this for the moment because I'm aware of the time, and I'm just going to move on to somebody else. Yeah.
Sorry, Jules has just got a quick question.
Yeah, go on, Jules.
She says, with engagement, I feel that I need to hit as many audience as possible. My gut says to add in live feed performance because my audiences would probably not be very big. Does that sound okay?
Live feed, if you do like a live stream of it, I would, yeah, I mean, it's live stream is interesting. It can be expensive, but live stream is interesting if you're trying to target particular audiences. Don't feel that you just need to, I think often when people write these applications, they just feel as if they need to try and achieve everything that the Arts Council is trying to achieve. That's not what they're particularly interested in. I think they're interested in, if your piece is so, like Kristin's piece, is really, really brilliantly targeted at a very, very specific audience and a wider audience, then that just go for the targeted audience and a general and a much wider audience. And you'll see with
okay. It's just that I'm just aware that my piece is most of the stuff I do is targeted at non-traditional theatre people. So,
amazing, great. Well, that's perfect.
But that by its very nature, that means that there are fewer of them. And I used to work in Shropshire, which is very, very rural county. And one of our problems with going for funding of any kind, having done this before a few times, was that the numbers just didn't add up for the funders. They wanted more people, hit in one go. And that was always a struggle for us. So, but having said that, it's been a couple of years since I got any funding from Arts Council. So I just wondered if, hopefully what you're saying is great, and I don't have to worry about banging in the numbers to make it a viable proposition for them. Do you know what I mean?
I think if you're managing to reach people who are not, I think it's more, I'm not sure they're so. What are you planning to do? Well,
it's a tour, village halls and allotments.
Amazing, brilliant.
Those sorts of spaces. And I mean, potentially, because it is a tour of those sorts of site-specific places, it could go all over the country because it has a relevance to inner city London as much as it does to, in the middle of Suffolk sort of thing. But it's kind of, how big do I make it, and how do I make it most appealing to ACE in respect of audience participation. So yeah,
I think that, I mean, you'd be realistic,
yeah,
but I think and it's hard if you're reaching non-traditional audiences, will be the next section will be the tricky
Yeah.
one of how you prove you can reach them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's where it will fall down.
Yeah.
Particularly if you're going for really. So Christine's actually has, it sounds, because of her connections with those organisations, from what she said, you go, if I was an assessor, I'd go, but she's going to reach those people.
Sure. I mean, I do have, sorry to, I don't mean to, I do have a couple of organisations that I've already contacted that, or previously contacted, who seem to be quite interested. And I mean, it's totally bizarre, obviously, as all these things are, but the National Beekeepers Association are quite keen, and the Soil Association of the UK are quite keen. Because it sort of hits both those, but again, they're non-traditional theatre going bases. So
that's perfect. That sounds absolutely spot on. That's really good. Because you're not, it's not theatre partners. You're actually really using other quite grassroots or, you know, really interest groups that fit with the kind of, sounds like the kind of project that you're making. So that sounds absolutely right.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you so much. That's great.
Yeah, the more kind of partners that you have, and particularly if they're non-theatre partners, then the Arts Council are going to get really, we're a bit like Christine's as well, about the offenders contact that she has. That really shows that you're probably going to reach. You're going to reach people that you don't normally reach.
Okay, great. Thank you for the reassurance.
Yeah, and the more that you build up those partners and those ways of communicating the piece, that sounds really great. So I'm going to whiz on, and we will pick up on the rest of it, Christine.
No, that's honestly just
enough to
so
get
helpful.
on with. Yeah, great.
So thank you so much.
So, and then let's go. Yeah.
Can I just I just wanted to check that you can see me now, you can hear me.
I can hear you, definitely.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Can you see it? I've got the whole gallery up because I'm sharing my screen.
No problem.
So I'm going to do yours now.
I've got just so you know, I'm just going to put it in the chat, because what happened was I was using one sheet and I moved over to another, and for some reason I was like 600 words, and I went to town. So I'm just going to slip into the chat. I'm happy to read it if you like.
Oh, well, have you done a new one?
It's exactly 600 characters. It's the one I've done before.
Oh yeah, do you want to read it?
I'll read it. I've put it in the group.
Because this is yours, isn't it? Which is 2,500 characters.
Yeah, there's stuff that's got to move over into my thing.
All right, yeah, great.
It's the money would be used to finance an R&D of Fig and Oil, a West Indian immersive dining experience, a sensory exploration of Caribbean culture, a story of love and loneliness told over 3 courses, each representing a meal eaten throughout one couple's life. The money would allow us to develop and create the menu, taste, rehearse, sight and design, smell and sound the experience, culminating in an industry showcase. Furthermore, this innovative production will engage with the Caribbean community and encourage Black audience members to the theatre in a way that big commercial venues are unable to. That's exactly 600 characters.
Boom. Sounds amazing, doesn't it?
I'm excited.
That sounds great. Have you put, it sounds great. Do you know one thing which which I put in here is don't put dining experience.
Okay.
I think they might be a bit snooty about that. And your project, I would call it an immersive theatre experience, and then go on to, I just front load all the storytelling stuff and then talk about the multi-sensory part of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think because you front loaded it as a dining experience, I think you just might get the wrong person who might be a bit snooty. Whereas you really want to talk it as about a piece of theatre that is really innovative and is using sense, is using the senses to underpin and enable a greater connection to the narratives. But it sounds like this project just sounds incredible.
This stuff that I've got here is going to like move down into my, I tend to do that overwrite. I'm quite good like editing.
That's all right.
So
that's exactly what you have to do first. You just have to, I just spew it out and then come back.
And this stuff will move into, because what happened was I got down and I was like, and it wasn't till afterwards, and then I'd sent it to you already, and I was like, I've got the 600 characters anyway. But yeah, this will be unpacked when it's like, tell us more about the project. This will be a little bit more.
Definitely. Okay, cool. I'm going to go down into that section.
I've got my budget. I sent that over to you.
Your budget. Your budget is really great. It's really good. So I will share it with people actually. Because
this is what I wanted to say actually earlier when my camera just kept cutting off. So I ended up, because I have dyscalculia, so I really struggle with numbers. I've done my entire life. And I actually, when I went, I sort of said to you in the week, I was like, don't think I have my budget for Friday. And then I felt really shitty about that. So I said, no, I said I would have my budget ready. And when I went over it, actually made me learn more about the project.
Yeah, it does. It's a fun
numbers.
Yeah, it does. It's a funny one because I think the best way, it's like Rebecca was saying about start with the description of the project. But it's interesting then you go back and forth. They inform each other.
Yeah.
Each bit informs, and you have to kind of go back and redo that, and then go. And particularly when you talk about engagement as well, because a bit like Anne was saying earlier on. Then I said I wanted to do a workshop and I wanted to do Q&A, and then that hasn't been put in the description of the project. But you might learn more about the project when you write the engagement, and you might learn more about the project when you have to think about the finances as well. You might go, oh shit, I've just overspent, I've gone over £15,000. Then you have to like claw some of it back. So it's not a linear process at all. And like Rebecca was saying about mind map, like creating a kind of mind map on a piece of paper is really probably the most intuitive way of doing it, rather than sitting and doing it on this application. So let's have a look at this quality. Quality
creative
section.
Cultural community.
Oh yeah.
Creative and cultural country. Yeah,
creative and cultural country. Yeah, because if you were making it with the people, then it would be cultural communities. So I'm going to go to the quality. Tell us about your organization's relevant experience. This is in how it develops your work, this section. When it says, how will this develop your work? Later on, how will this project develop your work?
Okay.
That opening section goes in there.
Okay.
So here, this is kind of where it starts. In the 3 years since graduating for Fourth Monkey, I have been fortunate to work exclusively as a creative. I have, I trained. Your training in there is really important. You have written and directed 2 seasons of work across 2 years of graduating students for Fourth Monkey. You don't think you need, I pride myself in the fact that companies continually wish to work with me again. Okay. A little bit, I know what you've done actually. You've written it like it's an application for a job. A little bit. And actually just be a little bit, a bit more economic with the language. You're rather brilliantly overselling yourself, and I have said in this section, sell yourself.
You did say that. So I went to town.
You have went to town. I love it. You are fucking amazing. But you don't have that much space, because
Yeah.
how many words is how many characters is
Julia.
this? I love it because this is in pages, so I can do this when you have. And they do include spaces. You've got 3,409. So you really have, you went to town on telling us how brilliant you are.
Well, I think they need to know.
They do need to know. So any comments about yourself? Just give us the headlines, yeah? Look, come on, this is amazing. Like, you've written and directed 2 seasons of work for 2 years of graduating students at Fourth Monkey. You've worked with Goblin Theatres on 3 as an actor, maybe order it as a performer, a collaborator, writer. So
Okay.
it feels a bit, yeah, so it flows. Collaborated with Punch Drunk on 3 separate projects as an actress. And yeah, so we're slightly jumping from different kind of roles. So put it in structure it so it flows. Yeah, this is good. This includes being part of a team exclusively chosen to create the world's first immersive television show.
Yeah.
A-list stars Jude Law and Catherine Woodson.
They were fabulous, darling.
I just say you were includes being part of a team exclusively chosen to create the words for the first immersive TV show for Punch Drunk. Punch Drunk is going to do it like big time.
Okay.
Yeah, co-directed Squad Goals, a large-scale outdoor immersive. That's really brilliant because that is
exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're doing. And it is this thing, and I said in here, relevant, but the stuff that proves to them that you can do what you're trying to do. I love the hospitality stuff because that shows that you know exactly what you're doing. Yeah. But you'll need to really strip that back.
Oh yeah.
Just really put the headlines in there. So you are a top in a career in hospitality. I did this, and this, and this. Made that take all of that and put that into the size of that one paragraph.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't need to joining myself. Oh yeah, as part of a core team on this project is. We're gonna have to explain. You just say I have. The collaborators on this project have these kind of skills.
Because there's chance to expand on that later.
Later on, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this project would allow me to combine not only the skills I've gained throughout both of my professional lives, but that's in your development. That's in how will this project develop you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All you want to do in this one is go just things that are prove just that you can deliver this work. Have you done anything that has been, I mean, this is also in your develop your work, I think, has there been anything, you've got immersive in there, you've got company, this is about devising and collaborative work as well, Punch Drunk and Fourth Monkey, so that's really great. And the Squad Goals, so it shows you're a good collaborator. The hospitality stuff says you know what you're doing around food because they go, oh, wow, is she going to poison everyone? And then, is there?
Because I don't know.
Go on.
There's not all of my work in there. So is that what you mean, like the performance stuff?
No, I think that's enough. Just putting enough to say, put all the really great things. You've got them in there. Just order it so that it has a greater impact. Okay. Great, brilliant. Tell us more about your project and what you want it to achieve. So obviously you're going to be
more characters here.
How many characters are in this? $3,967. So what I want to know here is there's all of this is really beautiful. You need to condense it. Really, it just needs to be like 2 sentences about the how autobiographical it is. So that shows the passion and it shows where it's coming from.
Yeah.
I think I put some things down here. This stuff.
Did you like that?
What?
This bit here, because I just was like exactly what I want to do during the R&D.
Yeah, well, that's the project there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. And you need to unpack this. It's the same thing with Kristen as well. And it's come up a few times. It's like, what are you actually going to do in those weeks? You know? I mean, I think the passion for the project, you need like a paragraph of passion of why you're doing it. So you need to reduce all of this down because it's really incredible. The audience agency reporting that Black people make up only 1% of audience members. That can go in your, who are you going to engage?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can put a thing targeted in the summary, targeted at audiences from the Black community, specifically targeted, but the detail of all of that and the audience figures can come in the engagement stuff. I think this quote is a little generic.
Okay.
Not generic, generalized. I don't think it's specific enough.
Okay.
If it was really about immersive theatre and Black audiences, this is, we don't tell them, if you're going to put a quote in, let it be something that our Arts Council don't know.
Okay.
Which are particularly, they know Sweet FA about Essex and audiences, and particularly about diversity in Essex, because like everyone, like the rest of the world, they think it's white, working class, and it ain't.
Yeah.
It's not just white working class. Well, actually, and also they don't understand the kind of post-industrial makeup of Essex. They think it's all kind of aspirational Essex, and actually it's a much more complex. It's taken us ages for them to understand that Essex has big chunks of deprivation. And
can I ask about the next thing? Because I did put this, because when I was writing, because like obviously I've just gone, but that bit, statistics show that there is a growing public appetite for experimental theatre, and Figonal encapsulates this element all the while maintaining a strong narrative, which many immersive shows fail to do. I felt like I was giving too much of an opinion there, which like, they don't do it like I can.
I know that's fine. I think that's an intention, isn't it? That you want to make, I want to make something that maintains a strong, a device piece, an immersive piece that maintains a strong narrative.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's great. But we want to know exactly what you're going to do. How long is the R&D?
2 weeks. Well, there's a writing stage before that I'll be on my own, but then
that's not, so the first is a writing stage, the next is an R&D. What you're going to do in the R&D, you're going to do, I think, front also the menu development, just put that, don't put the art, I know the food is art and creativity as well, but put the script and story. I think in this, I don't know much about the story.
Fair enough. Yeah,
I want more about which is funny because you talk about maintaining a strong narrative. I know very little about, from this application, I don't know what the actual performance is. And I know they're interconnected, all the pieces, but at the moment, the food is much, much stronger than.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
You need to go, tell us what the story is going to be.
Up until this point, Doug, that it makes so much sense you've said that, but up until this point, I've been using it as the unique selling point.
Yeah, but that is, and I think people will bloody well come. I think that's amazing. But hearing this Arts Council application, they want to know what they know, a bit like, because we know that family stuff is in there. You want to talk about the family narrative. The story is this, and I will develop it. And what are you going to do in that writing week? How are you going, this will buy me the time, this will pay for me to have the space to be able to write. and this is semi-autobiographical. I will develop a first draft that I will take into R&D, and then what will you do with that draft in the R&D? What are you actually going to do with the draft when you go into the R&D?
Well, I'll rehearse, develop, keep playing with it. The interesting thing is I found a producer that's, I've got a story here, but I've realised over the past week that my story isn't unique because of the amount of people that left on the Windrush, left family behind.
Yeah.
And then the amount, because there was people had to save money to get their family over. The affairs that went on and the illegitimate children born were not unique to my family. In fact, the producer that I've managed talking to come on board has got exactly the same situation happened in her story.
Yeah.
And so I'll be looking to, I had a Zoom the other week with an aunt in Grenada talking about my grandparents and their young love.
Brilliant. But you're talking about research, aren't you? The research. So you need to put, this will fund X amount of weeks for research, which is talking to people using community connections to record experiences of certain people that will inform the writing process. Then you write it and then you take it into the rehearsal room. And how many people are in the rehearsal room?
1, 2, 3, 4. Well, there'll be in one week there'll be 2 actors and a director, and in the second week we're bringing another 2 actors because they're actors / waiters in the second week. Great.
And so none of that is here.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They want to know what they're going to spend their money on, and also that because they want to know. They want to go, oh, great, but now I give this money, and we're employing all of these people because they want to know that. But you want to just be really straightforward of what it is, and you go, there's a research period to talking to people in the community and capturing their narratives to inform a writing period, and I will do this then. I will produce a 60-minute script that we will then take into R&D, and in week 1 we're going to do this, in week 2 we're going to do this, in week 3 we're going to do that. And then there's going to be menu development between week 2 and 3. You want to say how you're setting it out. Menu development, collaboration with the chef, menu development, design, discussions. Do you see what I mean? We want to know exactly what the project, what the deal, and then there's a sharing. I wouldn't call it a showcase. Careful of using the word showcase. It sounds quite commercial. I think make it more sharing feels a bit more creative. Because showcase is a bit like ta-da! Whereas if it's an R&D process, sharing, I'm sharing it. And because also they want to know about evaluation as well.
Okay, sharing, that makes sense.
Creative film content that will enable us to construct an information pack and web presence for the show. So I think there's lots of commonality between this. I think Anne and Christine have this, is about R&D, all of that work that goes in, then a sharing, and the creating of marketing and touring assets to send to venues and develop relationships with venues, isn't it? So it feels like you all have a kind of similar project in that respect. So the making of film content that will enable us to create a touring pack and a web presence for the show. So you're making a promotion materials, secure a UK tour for the project later on, or future partners of future, including Q&A session and an audience feedback form. So so then you've got your sharing, and then you have your discussion and feedback, and then there's the creation of marketing materials and promotion materials from filming of some parts of the R&D sharing. Yeah.
can I just ask, sorry, what is
Yeah.
what is a touring pack? What is a touring pack and what goes in it?
A touring pack is just all the information for the show, but so it will have, I mean, I can send you one. A touring pack is like an image, a description of the show, a description of the artists. Then it will have technical, it'll go, I need a chair. I need a performance space, 5 meters by 5 meters, and a minimal rig, and the show will cost this much.
So is it more like a document as opposed? Do you know what I mean? When I think of pack, I expect like it's got balloons in,
freebies,
free pen.
The freebie. Yeah, a pack is a promotional pack. Yeah, we talk about, yeah, we do in that way. But we can, and I can send you one of those if you want.
Thank you.
Does that make sense about the project?
Yeah, I'd love to see that touring pack as well, if you could get that to me.
I'll find one. People send them to me all the time. I will send you some.
I've got a local farmer involved.
Amazing, brilliant. Well, that's your collaborators, aren't they? So you've got your chef and a local farmer.
No, chef, yeah, a chef and a local farmer, yeah.
Yeah, great. You haven't said where you're going to do it as well again. Are you doing it here?
Well, yeah, there.
Yeah.
Doing it with you.
Yeah, and also you don't need to put that I've offered it to you and in kind, because that comes in the finance section.
Okay.
You just say, in what you should do, it's in that opening section in partnership with the Queen's Theatre Hornchurch, in that opening summary, your 600 words. Yeah.
Okay.
And then regarding sustainability, we have a full vegetarian menu with vegetables provided by Jetpack. Yeah, and that's fine. You're working with a farmer to ensure the sustainability of the project.
Yeah.
Environmental sustainability of the project. Yeah, you need to you've got to hack into your words. Yeah. Tell us how the project will help you develop your work. Yeah, this is about your background, about being new to the career, how much you've managed to achieve. You faced barriers. But
just hack away at that. Yeah,
you leave the juicy. I just want to know what your creative flow project with a chance to combine. Yeah, that's fine. This project would. It's a bit like Christian's is the same. It's about you being furthers your career as a creative in your own right. And you can see, all of those barriers that you face, but then you've also going to say it's you taking a leadership position in a creative project and developing partners, developing collaborations. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Public engagement.
I haven't done much on.
The bit that's very important.
Yeah, that's why it's just I've got a much more of an idea today. I've been working.
Okay.
But yeah, I've got much more of an idea, especially because I've decided that, because I was like, I don't know, because the sharing rather than the showcase is going to be targeted at the industry.
Yeah. You wanted that sharing. You want to test it with your audience as well, though, Mia.
With
your target audience.
Yes. Yeah, we'll be, but it'll be an invited audience.
Yeah, okay, but make sure you're going to have to explain. You'll have to say what the targeted audience. If you're invited, you want to make sure you've got true representation of the community in there, which is not a theatre-going audience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, does that make sense? You have an invited audience, but then you also say you have to otherwise you're testing it without having who the future audience for the project will be. So how can you learn about it if you don't have non-theatre? If we say that only 1% of the percentage of the Black community doesn't come to the theatre, or only this amount comes to the theatre, and then you only invite Black members of the community who go to the theatre, then how do you know that the project works? Do you see what I mean? So that testing is about making a piece of work which is for a non-traditional theatre audience. You've got to have them in the sharing.
Okay.
And you've got to learn from them how it works.
Okay.
Yeah. I think in your project as well, I do, obviously we had those discussions in Essex Black in here, but that Windrush narrative, and it's amazing that obviously there's so much shared narrative there, but I think one of the things that isn't in the project description is how few people know about that piece of Black history, that Black Essex history. Like, how many people in Essex actually know that Windrush was, that it landed on Essex soil? That's not a prominent narrative about Essex. So
Okay.
that definitely you need to sum that up in there as well. That is a hidden narrative about Essex, and it's only really come to the fore recently because of obviously all the horrific immigration abuses recently around the Windrush community. But it's not claimed as Essex history by Essex, is it?
No.
So that you want to readdress that. That's a rebalance of history of Black Essex history, but just also Essex history as well. Because I did, when a couple of years ago, I looked at, went, oh, fucking hell, there's really amazing, incredible Black history in Essex because of Tilbury. And then I looked and I did a research on shows about Windrush and Essex. And it doesn't exist. Just on the internet, there isn't anything that actually has been made about it in Essex. So that is a really strong reason to make the piece.
Yeah.
I'm just looking, so I'm sharing this. Writer, actor, 2,300 flat fee, including 2 drafts of the script in 2 weeks, including acting during, because, yeah.
Weeks are all there, but obviously, yeah.
It's a flat, and where did you get your flat fee from?
So it's the actor, the writer, the actor fee is the same as the main actor there, so it's £1,000. Then the draft, my producer Belinda Clark said that was a reasonable fee. Because I didn't decide on that figure. I felt uncomfortable about it. But she was we went above equity, below ITC, in the middle.
Okay. And so these are all based on kind of industry.
Oh yeah.
Amounts. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Well, though you've done really brilliantly on that. Producer, actor, waiter, costume, stage manager, executive chef, kitchen porter. Yeah, they all sound great. Costume production. So that's fees and payroll, production, costume design. Oh yeah, somebody. So maybe it's a costume supervisor. Put that in there because you've got costume. Don't put design, because design sounds like the designer.
Yeah.
So put costume supervisor or costume designer there. I put supervisor because it sounds like it's the things that you're going to find rather than make. Set, utensils, food samples. Yeah, great. You put COVID precaution in there. Yeah, 500. Yeah, great. Sundries, printing, brand design, website, marketing, insurance, contingency. You've got a contingency in there. That's really great. And it comes just under £15,000.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, venue hire.
This is, yeah, well, again, wanted to discuss, this is a conversation for me and you at another time.
Yeah, definitely. Mentorship, script printing you can put in here.
Script, oh really?
Yeah, and put some costume and props and stuff in there as well, even if you don't use it. Like costume, because we might have costume that you might want to use, but there might be furniture and stuff that you might want to use. Just put another couple of £100 in there. But that's good. Fuel producing mentorship. Hang on, you've just put fuel producing mentorship in there, and that's not in the project.
Yeah, I know. This is again, you know, I sent this to you earlier.
Yeah, it's something new.
I haven't gone back into and put that in yet.
Back in the project. Yeah, any people need to be, you know, if you've got fuel on board, come on, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a chance I might have Pete Higgins from Punch Drunk as well.
Oh, come on. Look at you. Just bringing it all in. That's amazing. That's great. That's all I'm going to look on that. Is that enough to get on with?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, of course.
Great. And then, how's everybody doing? I'm going to put the gallery up. How are you all doing? It's long, isn't it? Are there any questions at this point? I've got some wine. I've got some crackers. Do people need drinks or anything?
I wanted to ask a question, but it's sort of well, it's about Arts Council. But I put in an application for Arts Council and I got it back in January and I didn't get it. And it went through to other apps preferred, so it wasn't that it failed down on something. And I was sort of having a little bit of a debate about because people were like, just resubmit. But I know now that the waiting time is now 10 weeks instead of 6 weeks.
Has it changed?
For under 15,000, yeah. So it's people are now they've put their apps in and they're getting told that it's now a 10-week before the and I was looking on the producer site on Facebook and they said that somebody contacted somebody today on the Arts Council and they said make sure your activity starts in 10 weeks time. And I also was talking to Kath Wilmore and she was saying that success rate at the moment is like 10%. And I was a bit like, you know, I just don't really know what to do, whether or not to resubmit now or wait and see what happens a bit. And because I just wanted some what do you think? Because mine's not R&D, you see, and I think R&D's probably got a really strong. It's quite. I think
there is a priority on artists using this weird time which is about development, which is a developmental thinking time. So is yours a full project?
I got R&D Arts Council funding for the project in 2019 and it was supposed to be on in 2020 at the Junction and High Tide at Latitude, and of course that didn't happen. So, and I had a project grant in when the whole thing got suspended, so all of that work was wasted, and it was my first show, so it's like building these relationships and then you're suddenly going into the void because, you know, it's just been so hard. So the Junction are going to program it later, like in sort of autumn. Latitude hasn't actually cancelled itself yet, but I am trying to make an outdoor and an indoor version of the piece, so that it's more flexible. And that was going to be an outside version anyway at Latitude. It was going to be around a fire. So I've changed it, but I just don't really know what to do. And it just feels like, oh my God, I've got to make a decision if it's now 10 weeks, because that's like 3 months instead, you know.
I think you should submit it.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, then you submit it again.
Yeah.
There's no reason why, do you know what I mean? You can submit it again if it doesn't get through.
Yeah. Things keep falling out though. I reckon the whole High Tide partnership will fall out and the Latitude. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing, is that all these really like lovely little things that I've had, you know, I think it's not going to happen and then I can't use it. So in a way I reckon they're reading it and going, well, that's not going to happen. And I'm thinking, I don't think that's going to happen either. But I want to put it in.
Oh, right, I see. So if they fall apart, is there no project?
Well, the Junction will be the only confirmed venue. Yeah.
And how long are you there for?
Well, I've got like supporting kind of funding from them and stuff, but it will be just programming just for one night.
Okay. And you've had R&D funding for it before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's led up to this point. That's why I'm in this really difficult place. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really hard. And you don't want to do another project?
No.
R&D, something else?
No, this is like this is the project.
And it's ready to go?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, more or less it is more or less ready to go.
So it's the Junction, it's Latitude.
Yeah, with High Tide.
With High Tide. I don't, well, look, there's no if they say no, if they read it and say no, then it doesn't matter, does it? Because if you wait, you wait, or if you put it in and say no, then you put it in later, which you would do if you waited.
Yeah. Do
you see what I mean? You're not
you're
not actually gonna lose anything by putting it in, apart from being totally heartbroken when they say no.
Yeah, no, it's so heartbreaking. Yeah.
I think you should just put it in. I would put it in now before things start to change as well.
Yeah, I mean, this has been great and it's been really helpful because there's definitely, I've got to make tweaks anyway because my activity is out and stuff.
I think the thing is, because of the Cultural Recovery Fund, we've had to put in a whole application as an MPO. I mean, it does not just MPOs, but we've had to put in an application on the provision, like all of the budget, that we will be back to full capacity in June.
Wow.
And that's from the Arts Council. So I would put it in.
Okay, thank you.
And then you delay it. You know, the thing is, the project could last. I think you should put something in there. You do that one performance and then you do the other performances later on.
Yeah.
With the potential of a post, because a project can be 3 years, can't it, on project grants?
Can it?
Yeah.
Because I've got this wonderful team that have just said yes to being on board as well, and it's I just wonder whether they'll fund all of that, because it's so much money. Like, you know, it costs so much money to put on a piece of work, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then it's just like, hey, one performance. It just feels a bit like, I think I'm going to have to find another strand, maybe an audio strand or something that it can
find another strand. Yeah, definitely have a digital end product from it.
Yeah.
And that will definitely strengthen it. And also, I think just use that. Also, that Junction performance is about the future of the project as well. So that's about a bit like the other projects as well, is about recording it, creating resources, about promotional resources to other venues for a much longer life for the project, maybe the year after.
Yeah.
And build all that into it. So if the project feels longer than just that one potential performance, then, and if it has an audio digital aspect to it, then I think it's more likely to get through.
Yeah, thank you.
But I wouldn't be, I would just, because you can resubmit. So I would just put it in.
Right, I'm gonna do that. Everyone's project sounds so amazing.
Don't they?
Yeah, so great. Thank you.
I am going to go on to Anne's. Anne, you're up. She's got a notebook there. Yeah, you've just written too much. So, you know, we've all done too much. That it was so. Yeah, all of this is great. This is where, but all of it's really lovely. I would just put it elsewhere, not in the opening summary. This is where the summary. See where I put in capital. This is where the summary starts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Turn it into a full play. So just the nuts and bolts of it. So what you want to put is, because what is the project? The project is writing time.
Yeah.
It's about expanding a critically acclaimed debut play from a 30-minute monologue into a full length play. That's how you put it. And then you can go into detail. Expanding a critically acclaimed debut play from a 30-minute monologue, episodic monologue, into a full length play. Working in partnership with partners, which will enable me to have some writing time, rehearsal with the support of a director, a dramaturg, test performances, 3 test performances, wrap around discussions, and create materials to promote for a future life of it all. Also, but I think you should put, one line about what it is about as well.
Okay.
Hidden narrative of hidden historical seminal narrative of Black Essex history. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
All of this giving a voice to an extreme underrepresented area of British history. That's beautifully written. There you are. That is exactly what that is, isn't it? An original story, giving a voice to an extremely underrepresented area of British history. And there, like, I would like to develop my creative skills. That will become in your development. What will this project do for your development? It will develop my creative skills. Yeah. So you don't need to. Also, and this is not just you, I think everybody's done this. I think Mia, you have done this as well. And I think I spoke about this before. I remember one of the first applications I ever did, somebody just told me to stop apologizing or like, I was then fortunate enough. You're not fucking fortunate, do you know what I mean? It's like, and Mia, you put that in as well. I'm so lucky to have worked in the theatre industry for, do you know what I mean? It's like, don't
apologize.
Don't apologize or say you're fortunate.
Okay.
Also, because it's not sexy as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I just don't use that word, but if you downplay yourself, why are we going to invest in you when you're not that?
Yeah.
I know it's really hard because I still do it. I still do it when I write stuff, and I have to go back and go, why am I being so woolly about something? It's like, I earned the right for this money. Yeah, this one. Yeah, do the same. It's a bit like the other one. As a performer, I've done this, and list all the really brilliant, you obviously got such a brilliant career. And maybe also in pieces of new writing where you've been a performer.
Okay.
I have performed in, because actors are a really essential part of the new writing process, aren't they? So it's not like it just happens without you there, or you don't shift it. You are very aware of the new writing process.
And also and of course R&Ds that I've been involved in.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely, because you're right at the key. You know what an R&D process is as a performer. Sure. Yeah, definitely. And then you do go, yes, I would say as, I've written this on something somewhere else. here also, yeah, about the writing, you go, I have already successfully written this as a debut piece, and you could say, you know, I have already, this is, you know, I've written a 30-minute version of this piece. And there are your quotes. I mean, who's not going to fund you?
Yeah, bitches.
Most gripping is Arno Dickey, swaggering, confident. They're amazing quotes. So you just want to prove, so you've got a track record in writing, do you know what I mean? It's going, as a performer, I did this. I've worked in I've been part of these R&D and I have this experience from this. And I have already successfully written the first version of this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us more about your project and what you were to achieve. So just there, unpack the summary. So when I think of Essex, yeah, definitely, it's a bit the same. It's a little bit like, yeah, the passion, which is the what, where, who, and why, isn't it?
Yeah.
What it is, and you unpack. Same thing with the other colleagues, is the writing, what you're going to do in those time, the writing time, what you're going to do in rehearsal. So how much writing time? Is there any research around there? Sessions with, you know, with dramaturgical support. Then what you're going to do in the rehearsal room? How long? Where the test performances? How many there are? Where are they?
See, I've got a question about that, which is like, because basically, if I'm saying, oh, I'd like to do this, I remember saying last week, like, just because I want it doesn't mean I get it. So it's like, oh, if I'm putting in a budget, like, I'd like to perform somewhere in Southend. I mean, let's say I wanted to perform at the end of the pier. Do you know what I mean? Not that I do, it's cold, but if I wanted to, who's to say that just because I want it to happen and I put it in this, it's going to happen? But then is that all right? Because it's like, you know, earlier on when I was like, you know what, plans change. And then I'm like, actually, I didn't want to perform at the end of the pier, even though in brackets I always knew I didn't. Actually, I ended up performing in McDonald's. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So, am I just putting it down here to give me the money?
I think it's an excellent idea that you perform in a non-traditional space in Southend, yeah. But I think when you say that you're going to do those things, I don't think they believe you if you haven't already got somebody who's saying, yeah, come and do it here.
I see. So basically, so I have to have somewhere willing, because I will put them down. I'm going to put them down as, are they going to go in my budget?
Yeah. But it's not more that you're going to go down in the budget. It's more whether it's going to happen or not. Because I could say I'm going to perform in 5 village halls, and that never happens. And they want to go, oh, I've spoken to so and so and so and so, and they've penciled in the project.
I see. Okay.
So you want to get that studio performance at the Mercury. You're going to do it with us, and then you're going to do it in the Railway in Southend, or you're going to. But if you want to do non-specific, particularly if it's quite community, in your hairdressers, or I know I said that to you before. It's not. It's her front room, isn't it? But do you know what I mean? It might be a community space that you go, that you do it. But the more concrete the project is, pouring myself a glass of wine. The more concrete the project is, the more likely they're going to they'll fund it. The less concrete it is, if they've got a project, it's a bit like Emma was saying, because it is really competitive at the moment. And when they go to the panel, they have X amount of applications in that week, and they have a certain amount of money for that week. And they go, well, this one, I don't know if it's going to happen. She says she's going to do it on the end of the pier, but no one, there's nothing there to say that is going to do it. But this person is going to do it at the end of the pier, and the people at the end of the pier have said they can do it.
Yeah,
So they're going to give the money to the person who's already got it at the end of the pier.
right. And then if I wanted, so let's say, sorry for using the analogy.
No, this is good.
Using the end of the pier. So let's say right, I did do it at the end of the pier, but then the pier are like, well, we don't have any microphones or anything, so you can do but you can still perform it and lights and that. So I've then got to put down microphone and lights.
Yeah.
Haven't I?
Yeah. So if you're touring into venues that don't have the infrastructure for live performance, you have to put that in your budget. Yeah.
Yeah. And therefore I put that down, but then do I go to the next level of like, oh, and I then have to find someone that will be willing to give it to me? Do you know what I mean? Before I put it down in the budget, or do I just put it in the budget that I'm going to need lights and a mic?
No, you don't have to find the person, but you need to find out how much they're going to cost. And you say, I went to X so-and-so and they gave me a quote about how much it would cost to do it.
Okay.
And we can help, we can help you. We can help you do that budget at the Queen's. We can do it with you. We can, and that's the kind of support we offer as well, because we've done stuff in non-traditional performance for theatres, and we know how much that stuff costs. So and you can put that in your application. If you're doing a non-traditional venue, you can go, with the support of the Queen's Theatre, they will help on the production side. They will mentor me on how to achieve this.
Yeah, okay, that's great.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Can I
Yeah.
ask a question about contacting? Yeah. Can I just ask a question, if you've got any advice about contacting venues for scratch nights or things that you want to show there? Is it just like a cold call to them and you tell them about your project, or is it worth like paying money to the venue to be able to do the scratch night in order to get a profit back?
Oh, and yeah, I mean, you can pay a venue if you want. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's certainly possible. I think the Arts Council is better if somebody's inviting you in and they're doing like a split on it. So if you want, and we've got that space at the Queen. So if you want to do it with us, you can do it with us. That's absolutely, but it's also that cultivating, you can approach venues. So when I have my company, I approach the venues myself.
So you would just ring them and tell them about your project and say you're looking to do a scratch night. Do they have any availability?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
then they'd ask to see stuff, would they, before?
They might do. They want to know a little bit more about you, definitely. And then you might send them this kind of pack. If it's a little, even if it's a couple of sheets of paper. But unfortunately, that's when the artists end up being the producers, with the work that they're doing themselves. But you might want to get a producer to do all of that for you. But then it's chicken and egg, isn't it? Because you're writing an Arts Council application, you don't want to pay a producer to get all of those venues for you. But I would, and certainly, Anne, I think, certainly the Mercury would do it. We would do it. But I think you're absolutely right. It needs to go into Southend as well. So, but maybe have a chat with, Metal might do a sharing, but then Metal is quite, which would be great because then you've got 3 partners and you've got 3 really great people, but you'd have to work really hard to get, if it's really targeted at a Black Essex community, you'd have to work really, really hard to get them into Metal.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you see what I mean?
I said McDonald's and afterwards I feel like I should have said chicken cottage. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like, so I'm like, how, I mean, yeah, that's a question for me, and space and where to go. But yeah, I agree that I wouldn't want the performance to be, I mean, obviously not in the Palace, or I don't want it in a theatre. So it's got to be in a community space where, I mean, I've said about, how they, in order to engage and make the Southend Black community feel invited, but where is it?
I would dig around, because there might be community centres that are really, really, really great for that. And Mia, you're pointing. Do you know any?
Yeah, sorry, I just sent Anna a message about SAVs. Check out SAVs. They've got like, because I was looking up through the Afro-Caribbean Society about them the other day, and they're great for Southend. And so one, they might be able to help you with a venue, but definitely an audience as well. Like the Black Essex audience.
Yeah, that's great.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's daunting, isn't it, when you're having to set up like produce your own mini scrap, test tour of the show.
And that was another question. So I've got even where does you go down? So I have several questions.
Yeah, go.
So one was like, okay, well, let's say I have one night in the Queens and one night in Colchester. I'm like, is that? I mean, technically, that's a tour. That's two. It's not. It's more than one place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a short tour, but it's a tour nonetheless, geographically.
I mean, yeah, no, it is a tour, and you don't, because it's an R&D piece. You might only want, you might only want to do Colchester or Southend or the Queens, and you might not want to do all three. I think it's interesting because I think if you've got those partners, because if you're testing it in the Queens, you're testing it, the community one is really like totally bang on for this project, and I think they would really, really love it, and it just needs to be told in Southend. And but if you've got the Mercury and us doing a kind of sharing of the first version of it, they'll like that because there's a potential for us to program it later on.
Yeah.
And also you can go to other venues and go, I showed it at the Mercury. It gives it profile and all of that.
Sure.
But you might not want to go. Sorry.
Can I make a suggestion on that? Just good. I don't know where there would be in Essex, but when I was living in London somewhere, I managed to get a disused cinema, and I filled that out for a night. And sometimes if you can get cinemas that aren't working, you can get people to come. Like they'll give you the cinema, and then you can perform in there, and people like to come to cinemas.
That'd be amazing. That would be so good somewhere like that. And I'd like the option like of somewhere that the nice thing about that is it feels a bit I suppose a bit like the story, it's old, it's
that's true.
unused.
What about TAP? Is TAP no longer around? I've done a show there, the old waterworks in Southend.
Oh yeah, no, that is
where White Bus do their cinema stuff there.
Like an art, it's like art spaces, is it?
Yeah, I did a show there a few years ago. It's a really it's quite small, but it's really it's a really friendly little place to do and it doesn't have any lighting or anything like that, so you would have to bring that stuff yourself. But it's a nice venue. There's plenty of access to walk in from Southend there.
Yeah.
And also off Hamlet Court Road round there.
Yeah, it needs to be. That's it. I mean, I've commented on about how it needs to be in Westcliff. Sorry, I'm talking more about the project and not about my thing. But yeah, it needs.
I think TAP is actually Westcliff rather than Southend, isn't it? It's in between. It's in between. I can't remember the name of the road, but it runs parallel with the London Road and the road that goes down to Prittlewell Church.
Yeah, that's right. And Harry, I mean, I'd love it at the Curzon. That's why I've got everything crossed that at some point, that's it, come on, concrete culture, that absolutely would be amazing to specifically be there. A really good point.
I'm just going to pick up now in the next section. Also, maybe just put a call out as well.
Yeah.
For interesting spaces. But yeah.
Right.
How will this project help to develop your work? This side of I must confess that though I have always felt I was capable of writing, I did not possess the confidence needed to put pen. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It did go, although this was a success, it was a really, really new process for me. I originally lacked confidence, but the process has given me enough confidence to be able to want to, make this into a full length piece.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it'd be interesting, I've said that obviously I can offer you dramaturgical support, but I certainly, whoever the director is, that needs to be like a really, somebody who's really experienced in making similar kind of work.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think it would be really good if it is a black director, and maybe a black female director as well. And even the drama in me is waving. It might, or dramaturgically. I think in what you've made, this incredible piece of work. Its next stage is you could, a bit like Christine was saying, people are available. You can cherry pick, I think, at the moment, who you want to do it. Where you can really, really go further because what you want to do from the end of, write your full-length play, but also at the end of it, come out a real confident writer. Does that make sense? So you can really have you can really go for someone really, really exciting and whose work you really love. And that would, it's working in collaboration with these people who have had this experience and these skills. I'm here, I wrote this, it was this really great success. It's given me the confidence to do this. And I'd love to now work with these people to really develop.
So again,
you have to ring them
by
up.
By the time I send it, I have to say, I'm definitely, these are the people.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Yeah. Just because it makes it really, people get excited about when they go, oh, it's going to those places, it's got these partners, it's got this creative team. It's a bit like Emma was saying, oh, what if because Emma's got some really fantastic partners on her project, which is clearly why it was, her feedback was, there were just other there was a lot of competition on the table. It wasn't to do with the quality, it wasn't to do with the management of the project, which often you get. It wasn't to do with the budget might be wrong and then they get pulled down on that. Emma's got really some great people involved in her project, and that is a real stamp of approval if you've got someone really great on board, or some really great partners on board. And also, I wonder, I did introduce Danielle to, there's Michael Buffon, who is a pal of mine. They've got a venue now in Tallow. Have a venue in Croydon, which might be a place to try it out as well. But you go on. Say, Mia.
They've got the old town hall. It's a fabulous space. Get in. I've been speaking to him about this project. Yeah, I'd highly recommend getting in touch with him.
Yeah, and also just going, about and using it as a platform also for, how will it develop? It's developing partnerships.
Yeah, that would be good. He watched Misfits.
Oh, did he? All right. Okay.
Yeah, he did, because Tom was friends with him, and I emailed him about it. I mean, he never emailed me back, but maybe it got lost. But he definitely saw it and he really liked it.
Okay, well, definitely concord. But it should be your calling card as well for your kind of future as a theatre maker. That's part of the development as well. But this will be a calling card that I can use. I will use this to develop relationships with other companies and stuff. So that should be in there.
Okay.
Yeah, you as a performer as well. That's really brilliant. Not only is it about developing your skills as a performer, but it's developing your skills as an actor. Your first ever solo show. I do, and also that stuff about when do you get to play a Black Essex character as well?
That's right. Yeah. Yes, the answer, you don't. You have to. The key of learning is to turn the character into. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not written into it. It's just
yeah. I mean, I think that's in the project as well, actually, which is about writing a really weighty piece that centers around a Black Essex character. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a really good, interesting question that maybe others want to chip in on. And this suggestion, give a sense of your work. I would just say for you, give us a sense of, you know, that extra bit that you can send, which is a document up to 10 megabytes.
Mm.
And we accept PDF, MS Word, MS Excel, PowerPoint, JPEG files, sound, video, sound clip. I mean, that is all the stuff you can't get elsewhere. I mean, that's press quotes, that's what other people say about your work. If you do have, your pictures are really useful. I mean, these poor sods at Arts Council who have to just read these terrible applications, not terrible, but just the format of them. To have something visual, I think is really, really great. And you can mix that up, have quotes, pictures of you performing, pictures of the show. I think you should just send them a video of the show, of Misfits. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There it is, boom.
I feel like that. I just feel like there's some. I mean, at that point, I was like, "What, really? Now writing an essay? Do you know what I mean on it?" I'm like, I've said what I need to say, and I just feel like, do you want to just hear some of the text?
Yeah, I think it's good. Just send them a link to the video. I can give you that.
Okay, then. If not, I was just gonna. I mean, I'm not someone who's very. I'm not editing person at all. So I was like, do I just do like a video of Southend and then somehow get a mate to be like, here's me doing a recording, and then do you play over it, and then do you know what I mean? We just have Southend in the background, but if you can see
I
it.
loved the idea of it. Yeah, I think it's really great. I mean, anything kind of visual and creative, I think is really probably helpful, but I would just send them a link to the video.
Okay.
Yeah. Then it's just there and they can watch a few minutes of it. You might need to edit it so that they start off watching you.
Yeah, exactly. Or they'll be like, okay. Well, they'll be like, wow, she is good. She keeps changing height and weight. It's like she's 4 people.
So can I ask, because it says either a web link or document, does that?
You only get one chance, don't you? Yeah, you only get one thing, I think.
So
but
you
the thing is,
send a video or you could send a document.
Yeah, but because you could send a document that has web links in.
Ah, I see.
Do you see what I mean? But if you're just sending one video, just send them a video. But if you've got a whole load of stuff, send them a PDF with, you know, with hyperlinks that they can then.
Is it worth just doing a piece of like a film trailer that I've just done where I'm the lead? Is that relevant, or would they not want to see that?
A trailer for the project itself?
No, it's not for this project. It's for like a previous film that I've just done that's just been shown in the cinema. So it's the trailer of that, but it was written around me and devised, so it would give an element of the work.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, put that in. I think they want, but they just want to know it's of quality. You know, that your quality, this thing that they call quality.
Yeah.
I put a link to a website. I just got a website.
Yeah, great.
And so then that everything's there, and then they can have a good look and pictures and videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Harry's mentioned about a videoing, editing thing. Do you want to say it, Harry? Sorry, I can't see Harry on my screen.
I can't.
Sorry, I got you, Harry. So, Harry's put, if you're looking for free, if you are looking for free downloading video software that doesn't have a watermark, Harry says that he recommends OpenShot Video Editor. It's
great.
easy to use, and yeah, he's edited several podcasts in it. That's great. Thank you.
You've got here public engagement. Is it okay to tick 2? Yeah, you can tick as many people as you want.
Okay, great.
Yeah. I think we'll tackle public engagement like massively in the next session together. Is that all right? If we get all our projects really firmed up, what our activity is, and then we'll go into our engagement, because I think that's, it's quite a big task, the engagement one, which I think Jules was on about as well. It's a really tough one, particularly if you're targeting difficult audiences that don't normally go to the theatre. So is that all right? I'm going to whiz off yours now. Is that okay?
Thank you.
And then Sally. I mean, they're all amazing projects. They're all really, really great. So Sally, yours looks a bit weird because I had to get your PDF and copy and paste into a Word document so I could write your notes.
I'm sorry, I knew you said don't send it as a PDF, but I had already had a meltdown by that stage.
Don't worry, that's okay.
I just got it. Sorry.
That's okay, because I can copy and paste. I can use IT. I know what I'm doing. So my project, Up the River, it consists of 4 short, 2-handed plays set on the banks of the Thames estuary. The plays will use local writers, actors, and artistic collaborators. I think there's something a little bit more about the plays, what the content will be. Just what they're about, what they're doing.
Okay.
Which they could be even if it just said the word placemaking. Do you know what I mean by placemaking? It's a real kind of buzzword for arts and.
No, I like it, but I don't know what it means.
Placemaking is about celebrating local. It's about creating sense of place. So you're literally making place, particularly and it's quite a buzzword, but it's because we're quite a globalized world, which is, and interesting with the pandemic, we've become more placemaking because we're really focused on where we are. And so if you're telling stories, or if you're connecting community to place and sense of place and history of place, or the geology of a place, or you're celebrating the uniqueness of the place where people come from. So that's placemaking. And it sounds like yours is placemaking.
Yes.
I mean, also Anne's, yours is placemaking. It is quite placemaking as well. And Mia, if it's Mia, yours is placemaking as well, because it's about it's for Essex audiences. It's targeted at. It's about Essex history. Yours is more because your 4 plays, you're looking at it's slightly more epic. Like Misfits was placemaking, for example, Anne. Go on, Sally.
So each short play, I should put something in about the story.
I just think if you go 4 short, I just don't know anything about these plays, except for they're set on the bank of the Thames estuary. But I would say placemaking will say, I think they are placemaking. I think you want to celebrate the locale and get people really engaged in the place that they're from through these plays. That feels like that's what you're doing, isn't it?
Yeah, but yes, so just mention the places like Lee and Queenborough and
I would just say for sure.
Hadley.
I would just say, yeah, if you've got the places, why not? But I think it's more about, I don't know what's in these plays at the moment. So I would say, well, that's why placemaking is a good phrase. Because it feels like your plays are about the history, the stories of the area, aren't they?
Yeah.
You could just actually, Sally, you could just say 4 short 2-handed plays about and set on the banks of the Thames estuary. The plays will use local writers, actors, and artistic collaborators. The shows will be performed in non-traditional venues. Do you know how many?
Well, so I've got this. One of them is the Sailing Club in Lee, and then one of them is I'm waiting for complete confirmation, but I'm fairly certain it will happen in the Woodlands Trust in Belfairs Woods. And then there is one of the scouts, the gentleman who runs the whole of the scouts in Hockley, asked if I would go and put on a show in Belchamps around a fire. So I was thinking of doing it there, but one of the stories is about the lady in grey who haunts the Hadley Castle. Actually, it's a bit of a rubbish story, but we've added a few smugglers to it and a couple of Vikings, so it's a little bit more exciting. And I was hoping that we could. I was hoping the council might let us do something at Hadley Castle, but I haven't put that in because I'm not completely sure. The idea was that we would do mainly outside venues. Because of coronavirus, so people bring a picnic or a drink. So it's a bit like I did a show up at the Woodlands Trust with called Theatre and a Thermos, and everybody brought a thermos of a hot drink, and we all froze to death as we did the performance in the semi-dark with all the doors open and the wind blowing through. So that's the kind of idea of the venues.
I think they all sound amazing. I think you should try and make them quite concrete potentials.
Well, 2 of them are concrete, and
I would try and go for all of them. But they will want to know how many performances you want to do. You know how many performances you're going to do.
So it would be because I was going to. I usually use the Dixon Studio.
Mm-hmm.
But I revisited the seating plan, and actually I'm not certain that the Dixon will reopen in the near future because it's just not, there's no ventilation. It's just not user friendly for coronavirus, and I just can't see a way around that for the Palace. And I could never afford to hire the Palace main stage. So so I don't think I can do that. Yeah,
I think it's the same thing to the conversation with Anne. You know, going through her application. The more concrete it is, the more likely they're going to fund something.
So I'll firm up the other 2 of those.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, the more we can go, this is exactly what the project is, and of course things can change after that. But the more vague it is,
sorry to interrupt you. I think Anne asked this question. So if I say that I'm doing it at Hadley Castle, will they check that? Will they bring up Castle Point?
Yeah, because you get a touring schedule. You've got that section where you put in where you're going to perform, and you have a contact number, and you say it's penciled or confirmed or unconfirmed.
Right. Okay. So I need to make sure.
They will check. Yeah.
That's fine. I will confirm with. I don't think they'll give us some. I don't think they won't do one at the castle. I don't think.
Go for it. Try it. You never know.
I have tried it before. They're quite precious about the castle.
Okay.
But I'll try anyway. Yeah.
It's so important to have a project.
And so do I put that in there as well in the basic? Do I put the venues in the basic detail?
Just say how many 4 non-traditional venues in the area. And we'll include immersive and sensory elements which will allow the audience to be at the centre of the experience. Amazing, sounds brilliant. Aimed at newcomers along with regular theatre goers, the plays are suitable for ages. And that's in who are you? You don't need to put that here.
Okay.
Because that's in who are you trying to reach. If it was a piece for young people, you would put that straight. If it's a really specific target audience, you could put that in the opening summary. Yeah, and that's nice. These twisted tales will entertain and enrich the local community, stimulating mental health and well-being for the participants, the performers and public alike. Who are the participants?
Yes, that's a very good question. I'm not really sure what participants are. So there are participants, members of the audience who get involved with the immersive bit is in the body snatching bit. There's a session where we need somebody from the audience has to come in blindfolded and put their hand in the bucket of the liver and the brain and all that stuff. And but obviously not everybody wants to do that. So I didn't know, is that a participant? And then the rest of the people are the audience members.
That's the audience.
That's just the audience.
Yeah.
So what is a participant?
I think it says in the Arts Council applications, isn't it? But we'll say later. Participants are, you know, people who take part in workshops.
Oh, right. No, well, I don't have any participants then because I'm not doing any workshops.
You've only got audience, yeah.
Only audience.
There's quite a clear definition. I'll just have a look in the application to help you on that one. Yeah, often that's a kind of people. It's a really common confusion about.
Okay, I'll remove all participants.
Yeah, here you are. By audience, we mean people who are going to experience your project, are viewers, listeners, and readers, but are not actively involved in your project. I know that's where you might have got confused, but yours are engaging. But participants, we mean people who are actively involved in other than the artists or others leading the project by devising, creating, making, presenting, or performing. Then yours, that's the immersive part of the performance that you're talking about. They're not actually so their audience, they're not actually creating the piece. So I think participants is about creativity. If there is something creative that happens for them, like a workshop,
right?
Or if they're making the work with you. So Christian, you know, part of your project, because of the people that you want to engage, it's whether they are participating in the creativity of making the project, which, you know, there's a fine line of whether it's just research or if they're participating.
I guess if they came to a read through though and was invited to feedback and talk about the creativity, would that be participating?
No, I don't think so. I think it
really with a workshop, would it be?
Yeah, workshop it would. Yeah, where they generate stuff that would influence the making of the piece. Yeah. A workshop, definitely a workshop. They're participants. Yeah. Great. Let's move down to here. Just say how brilliant all of you have been to put yourself up here and have your application in front of everyone else. You're amazing. Well done. Don't think we need to know this. What's this? Oh yeah, just about don't say you closed it. That's such a negative thing to say right at the beginning.
Okay.
Just say I developed it to make it sound like a positive thing.
It was quite a positive thing, really. It was quite cathartic. But okay,
sure.
So I and
then
reinvented it.
Or then set up two-handers.
I reinvented it.
Yeah.
I developed it
to explore new avenues of theatre. Because it sounds like you had a really terrible time because I closed it and to get back.
I did have a terrible time at the end.
Don't let the Arts Council know that.
Only because I was working alone and I just could not keep up with the amount of work that was coming in. So I just had work coming out of my ears. I couldn't find anybody who would work in TIE because people don't like TIE.
It's just there. This is about how brilliant you are, and you've just I did something for 11 years and I hated it and I wanted to get back to the root of theatre.
Yeah, you're so right. And that's not true. I loved it. I just wanted somebody else to love theatre.
Exactly. So we don't know about that because
I won't.
11 years of running a TIE company is amazing. Just have that. And then you went, and then I set up two-handers.
Okay.
To explore new ways of making theatre. Yeah, and I don't think this overhead stuff, because I mean, this is really brilliant stuff about your producing, but
you don't need that.
No, because this is about the relevant work. So I want to know what you have done, which is about the budget management stuff can go in the finance section.
Okay.
What I need to know is about work that you have done, which is about commissioning and supporting new writing, leading on new writing projects. Because at the moment, I don't know what your role is here. So producing, supporting, and leading on new writing projects, and also your experience of leading immersive projects.
I write it, so it should be, I've written all of those things. So presumably then I need to make that clear, get rid of the money and just put in the fact that I wrote the stuff.
Yeah, and are you writing the 4 new plays?
I've written one of them. I've got 3 other. I've got 3 other writers to write. So.
All right. So you need to put in your writing experience, because you are writing one of the plays. So in your project, you can put that 4 new plays, one by myself and others by. Because at the moment it sounds like you've got. The plays will use local writers, actors, and artistic collaborators. You need to put the plays will. One of the plays is written by myself, and 3 are written by other local writers. Because at the moment I don't know what you are, and so that's not very clear. And then here you talk about your experience of writing, but the interesting thing will be how you talk about supporting other writers and leading writing projects and immersive. You need to tell. Oh yeah, I see. Rewrite script as a so you got your writing stuff, and then leading your experience of making immersive theatre in non-traditional spaces. That needs to be in there.
Okay, so that right.
The budget stuff goes in. How will you manage? Is what's your experience of managing a project like this? Yeah, and also your partners. I have worked with, list all the people you've collaborated with. I have collaborated with Southend Castle, Southend Council. All of that's really great. Because that shows that you can manage collaboration. So, this is the same. It's the same. It's interesting. This always happens, actually. So this is tell us more about the project you wanted to achieve. Yeah, I love this, bringing local myths to life through theatre to engage and entertain the local community at a time when many have suffered extreme difficulties. So maybe talk about the form: playful, engaging, unusual. So it's and accessible as well in the way, what is the form of the piece that you're doing? And maybe try and avoid I as well. So talk about the project will open the community's eyes to the richness of their local history. It's good to avoid I as much as possible. And to be honest, I'm not sure we need to know that you were fascinated by Tales of Smugglers because Vikings.
Yes.
Because we want.
Yes.
You want to go. This is the best bit. The local yarns are an exciting and entertaining enough, but often untold. So you're bringing life to untold stories of placemaking stories. Yeah, and this stuff is all great. And this is this thing about you're not apologizing, but just not being confident enough. It seems I use these kind of words all the time. It seems an appropriate time. Yeah. So these are accessible, exciting, engaging, place-making narratives that will, in this time of fractured community and sense of belonging, we will create a sense of community and pride in our forgotten history, bringing the area together after spending so much time alone. That's great. The intention is to forge. Yeah, another one, intention. The intention, I'm not sure if I'm going to achieve it, but the intention is like the aim. Do you know what I mean? It's like
so the project will forge relationships.
Yeah, exactly. They're never going to invest in something that you don't sound that sure that you're going to.
Do you know, when you write the word, it's only when you point it out, it's a bit like saying, I think. You don't, nobody cares what you think, but you write it down. And when I was writing the intention, I was pretty pleased with myself. That's a really good word. The intention is, the project will forge.
Yeah, definitely. We all do this, don't we? It's like, it's hard just to go. It's be dynamic about what we want to do, but and there's another intent.
Oliver didn't get porridge by saying, "Can I have some more?" Do you know what I'm saying? He went, "Please, sir, may I have some more?" Do you know what I mean? So now we're all like, "Can I have some?"
Yeah, if it's not too much trouble, would it be all right?
Exactly, which is why we're all so apologetic.
I know it's absolute shit, so no, don't worry about it. Actually, I shouldn't have bothered. Sorry to have troubled you.
I know exactly.
I'm exactly all those words where I'm apologising. It's just me doing the exact same thing, going, "Please, can I have the money now, please?"
I think there's some kind of repetition here as well. I mean, I intend to broker new partnerships of
that was probably because I didn't write enough. I thought I'll just pad that out with a few extra words.
Yeah, I think I see. Yeah, don't pad it out. And to be honest, if you've done it in less, they'll be thrilled. They don't want to read anymore. This poor boss is reading all these applications. It's like,
less is more.
Yeah, God, if you can do it in like less, they'll be thrilled. So don't feel you have to pad it out. You've got a lot of stuff missing. That's the only, and it's the same stuff. What is the actual project? What are you gonna? I don't know how long you're rehearsing. I don't know how you're choosing the writers. I don't know how you're choosing
all right, okay, so I need to put all of that in there.
I don't know where you're performing it. I don't know I don't know what the scale is. I don't know how many performers are there. I don't know if it's around a campfire. I don't know if it's in a forest. I don't know. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
None of it is there. To be honest, there is not very much of the project in that description.
And that's quite interesting, isn't it? Because it doesn't actually say anything about it.
No, it doesn't. But everybody's done that. And I've seen this done so many times. You've got to we want to know what we're spending our money on. 2 actors, 2 weeks of rehearsal.
It's 8 actors. It's 3 days of rehearsal each. And because they're only short plays.
Okay, I don't even know they're short plays.
No, well, except that it does say at the beginning that they have 4 short plays.
But not with 3 days of rehearsal, I don't.
No, because I haven't told you that.
Because you go, they're really short.
Well, I'd like to have more rehearsal, but by looking at the budget, it's so expensive that if the director, because if you look at the ITC budget for the director as well, it talks about if you have a director for each if you've got 4 plays and you have a director for each play, which is under 30 minutes, the prepping time for them and the cost of the prepping is like £1,117 each. That's before you've.
Why don't you have one director that does all 4?
Because if you had one director that did all 4, you surely you'd have to pay them 1,117 for each. No,
not if it's like a whole play. If you think of it as a whole piece.
Oh right, okay. Okay. Oh, that's okay. I'm suddenly just having one director.
Well, maybe. I mean, it depends over the time, but if you know, it's like Misfits, like was 4 monologues. I mean, it was essentially one piece, but that was. It seems odd to have 4 directors for 4 short plays. But I think, I mean, how long will they all happen around the same time, or will they over?
They'll all run together.
Oh, fine. That's one. I think it sounds like it's one director, and I think you should have one company, one director.
Thank you.
Do all 4 pieces.
Excellent. I rechanged the budget then.
Yeah, and that will help you out. You might get some more rehearsals.
That will help me massively.
Yeah, because how long are they, the pieces?
They're about 15 minutes each. One's 20, but some of them are 15.
Yeah, one director for all of the pieces and one company for all of the pieces, unless they demand, different types of actors. And that will get you back. So you need to say what their project is. This will help develop my work by enabling me to forge partnerships. Oh yeah, with local talent. That's great. Partnerships is really great. I will develop my own skill set. Looking to increase my IT and production skills. No, not that. You could say your producing skills overall, but we want to talk. They want to talk about the art.
Okay, I can talk about my writing skills and my performance skills.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And also your cultural leadership, because you're leading the project culturally, aren't you?
Yeah.
This is you're moving from making your own piece of work, but to making a collaborative and artistically collaborative, much wider artistic collaborative piece, because you've got 4 writers. So that's it's a step change in the scale of the work that you're making. Yeah, and then talk about your producing skills and what it will do for you. But they're more interested in producing skills are great because that you can say that's about sustainability. I will upskill as a producer which will help future sustainability of my work in the company. But it's got to be about the art right at the beginning. Yeah, and and you haven't, and this is not in your project at all. Haven't mentioned digital projects. That's in your project detail, and the composer, music, your composer in there as well. Don't mention anything. Everything has to be referenced in that project description. Working with a composer, working with a director, working with a radio company to create an audio version of it. The audio version is so important. That's almost the equivalent of performing it in the venues. It needs the same kind of weight.
Right.
Great. Okay, I'm going to stop there because we're going to go into public engagement more later on, and I'm aware it's coming up. Well done, everybody, for going through all of that. How are you all doing? How are you doing?
I'm feeling really good. I mean, I've got lots to do, but I feel, I feel good about it. And it'd be nice to move on to engagement next time when I've attacked it a little bit more. Yeah,
it'd be great to get those projects really firmed up, and then then we'll know a little bit more who they're for and how we can do that. The public engagement's really, really tricky. Are there any questions?
I've got a couple now.
Go on,
just a
go
couple
on.
of quick ones. If I'm doing a feedback session, like a read through, and I've invited industry professionals, do we include who I've invited anywhere to feedback on script? Is that relevant?
Yeah, it is relevant if they're kind of really great people.
Well, there's like a couple of artistic directors that have said.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Perhaps mention them. And then if I talk about doing a scratch night at the Queen's, would the Queen's come under partner, or would it come under?
Yeah, we would probably come under partner because we'll be giving you some stuff in kind. Yeah.
And
you know, if we've got the space, you can also rehearse it in the artist space. You know, we have an artist space which is dedicated to artists. So
well, I've included rehearsal space to pay for in there. So I guess
you could have in kind if that's what you want. You don't that we're there, you know, that's what it's there.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be amazing. I just didn't want to presume. And can I just ask what capacity that other space is in case?
The other space, well, yeah, it's 180 in non-socially distanced. It's 55 socially distanced.
And the rehearsal space, is that how many?
The capacity, how many people can come in it, I can't quite remember. I think it might be 4.
So, I mean, I think it would be any more than 4.
Yeah. It might even be up to 7. I can't quite remember how many people.
Cool, that's fine, just in case that, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Lovely, that's it, thank you.
Great. And any other questions? Hi, Pippa.
I want to say amazing work, everyone, because honestly, it took me bloody months to get as far as you've come in a very short space of time.
And they've done it in a couple of weeks, haven't they? Yeah.
It's incredible, honestly. I'm just so impressed.
Oh, thanks for Emma. That's really great. Yeah, you've done really, really. I know how agonising they are. It really is worth ploughing through. Are you okay? Sally's just put her head in her hand.
I'm having a drink in a minute.
You've done really, really brilliant. It's so lovely to do them together as well.
It's really nice. Do you know what I think is so great? Everyone is so delightfully supportive in this group. I think it feels like a safe environment to lay open the crappiest application you've ever done and feel that it's okay. So thank you all. I love you all. You're very kind.
Yeah, no, they're not crappy at all. You know, the way that these the Arts Council haven't got a clue how difficult it is to write these, and they have started to particularly our relationship managers, because they've really supported recently more. They think for years they've been thinking about, they go, oh, we'll come and do a roadshow session on Arts Council applications, and they come in and they do like an hour and they think and go away and think artists can do a full application after just doing an hour. But that shows how disconnected they are with the actual artists who are doing it, because they're all administrators or producers or ex-producers. You know, they have those, and the language that they use is just impossible. It's really, really, really difficult.
And I think the other thing that's lovely about this space is that I'm always scared to ask a question with Arts Council relationship managers in case they go, oh, you're thinking of doing that? And I'll be like, oh, no, I wasn't really. Because I was here, I just felt like it's safe. Like you can ask the questions that you actually just need to know. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. I'll feed that back. I send that. I won't say it was you. But that's a really interesting, about censoring what you are, what questions you ask. Yeah, that's really interesting. Great. So anything else? Harry, did you have something?
No, anything in particular. So it was very helpful listening to everyone, and I think, as I said, there's a lot of great unique ideas that everyone shared that they're developing, and I think that'd be something that'd be very great and also very popular for the community and for the target audiences that that was mentioned in them. So yeah, I hope everything goes well with the applications, and obviously get like the resources that you need towards putting them on.
I think they will. I think they will. Thanks, Harry. Thanks, Harry.
Yeah.
And Charlotte, you okay? And Hannah?
Sorry, I'm just unmuting myself.
Honestly,
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
a bit exhausted now, and I'm not even doing what yous are doing. So
They are it is exhausting. Pippa, you all right? It's lovely to see you. Haven't seen you for a while. How are you doing?
Hello, very well. Sorry I was late to the party. I had another meeting, but yeah,
That's okay.
thanks for doing this. And amazing ideas. I'm literally like, oh, yeah, these are awesome. So thank you for sharing. It's really good learning curve. Braver than I am yet, tucking into a freaking Arts Council funding application.
There will be another. We will do another round. So, what the plan is that because obviously I go into kind of rehearsal mode at kind of big periods of the year, is that I will do this twice. I will do this twice a year.
Great.
This kind of whole kind of chunk of support on applications. So it's not a one-off. We will do it. We will do it again.
Yeah, perfect.
Brilliant, great. Lovely to spend time with you.
And Doug, are you going to send us?
Oh yeah.
Going to send us back the notes?
All the notes on your applications.
The ones that like you had like the capitals and that.
The capitals? Oh,
yeah,
the ones that I put on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will send you. Well, the kind of key things, I'll send it to you. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
So we've said, when are you doing the next one?
The 1st of
27? No, have I made that up?
I think it's the 1st of March.
I might have moved it because of
to a bit later.
It might have done because of stop.
I thought I had 27.
Let me have a check because I might be doing I think I might be in tech. 27th of March. No,
February.
February.
Next one. But
February. I can find it here. Oh yeah, I've got it on the 26th of February, but I've moved it. I have moved it. Oh no, when have I moved it to? When do you think it is?
I thought it was the 1st of March, but then you'll still be in tech.
Yeah, no, it isn't. I've opened the show by then. I think it is the 1st of March. Is that all right for everybody?
I thought the 1st of March was when we just did a recap over it all. I thought we had one on the Friday the 26th.
Yeah, there is one on the 26th. There was one on the 26th, but I'm going to be in previews, unfortunately.
So shall we forget that one and then do the 1st?
Can we do the 1st? Is that all right?
That's good for me. Is that good for everybody else? It is down in...
Next one's the 1st of March.
Yeah. And then if you can send it to me on Friday the 26th, that will be great. And then I have the weekend to have a look.
Friday the 26th of
God, you'll be exhausted.
26th meeting Monday the 1st.
All right.
Yeah.
Great.
And our homework, so saying it out loud, is to do the notes, basically to work on the notes that you set, and also I need to go and look at like the budgeting things again, and I'm going to try that.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing, some of it, there are some key partner stuff to go on, isn't there? And some thinking around venues and partnerships and that might take longer. So I would, if you haven't got those in place, do a hypothetical that you have those in place,
right,
and write the application so that we can get your application to a point where when that falls into place, then it's all there and you know how to do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you decide you're going to do it on the end of the pier, and that is really what you want to do, and you're going to do the equivalent of that, only do things that you want to do, then you just write the end of the pier and then, with a view to hoping you make that happen before you send off the application. But I think I wouldn't send off applications that don't have concrete things in place.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, so you want to do a draft which is really, really as close to what you think is. So this time, word counts, all sorted. Yeah. Every section filled. A budget done. And if you're making some stuff up, that's absolutely fine. But fill each section. So let's get it really, really, really close.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That's what I need. Homework.
Homework.
First
All right.
of March.
1st of March. And it'll be spring. It'll be
Thank
nearly
you very
spring.
much.
See ya. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye everyone.
Bye. Thank
Thank
you.
Bye.
Bye.